Good morning and welcome to this morning's devotional. Do you want to know one of the most terrifying things in the world? It's when someone truly knows everything about you, who you are, why you do the things that you do, because at that point, you can't really hide. And there's only a select number of people in our lives that we actually allow to get to that point, because when they see us for who we truly are, and when they accept us, that is one of the most liberating things in the world. And so this morning, the theological concept we're looking at from J.I. Packer's book, Concise Theology, is the idea of omniscience, that God knows all. And this is what I would call terrifyingly beautiful. It's terrifying on one part because right now, God knows everything about you and me. He knows everything we're going to do. He knows everything we have done. As Psalm 139 says, he knows our very thoughts and our very words before we even say them. And he also knows the intent behind them. That is terrifying. That all of the evil, wicked, sinful things that we've done and all the good, righteous things that we've done, God knows those things through and through. And that is terrifying. But the beautiful part about it is this, is that for those who are in Christ, God no longer sees your sinfulness. He sees all the flaws of who you are, but he filters you through Christ, that he sees his Son in you. And so when God looks upon you and he sees who you truly are, all of your sin, all of your flaws, all of the ways that you've messed up and all the ways you will mess up, through Christ, he looks at you and he accepts you. Not because of how great or wonderful or how that you are, but because of the goodness and the righteousness of Christ. But when you truly also think about it, there is a comfort in this because we look around at the things of the world and things that people do in secret and they try to do in hiding. And those people are not going to hide from the judgment of God. They are not going to hide because God sees all and he knows all. I want to read this passage from this particular chapter. He says this. He says, to the Christian believer, knowledge of God's omniscience brings the assurance that he has not been forgotten, but is being and will be cared for according to God's promise. To anyone who is not a Christian, however, the truth of God's universal knowledge must bring dread. For it comes as a reminder that one cannot hide either oneself or one's sin from God's view. And so that's why this concept of omniscience is terrifyingly beautiful. It's terrifying in one sense that God truly knows who we are, and especially dreadful for the unbeliever, because they, as much as they would like to, will not hide from the judgment of God. But it's beautiful for those who are in Christ that although God sees our sin, he looks past them and he sees his Son. And we have a comfort that God's promise to us will be true. So on this Good Friday, as we reflect on the reality that Christ died for sinners and that those who are in Christ are seen by the Father, not for our sinfulness, but through the righteousness of Christ when he paid that debt for our sin on the cross. So God's omniscience, terrifyingly beautiful, but necessary for us to understand who God is.